It's a wonderful day today. It's just, I kind of missed most of it. I don't know why, but I'm feeling a little under the weather. But I just wanted to say something about bolts. I see this bolt right here. I heated it up. Something I did not know. A nice piece of information that would have helped me before I started this. If you have a steel bolt in aluminum, and that bolt is rusted on the outside. Let me see if I can go find. So that was what it looked like on the outside. Now, in the middle right here, that on the other side of this bolt, there was a big rust spot where it actually had corroded itself to the aluminum. You can kind of see it right there, the discolored spot. But I did not know that if you heat steel to 600 degrees, it likes to shed rust. It basically breaks all the rust off of it. So I heated the bolt until it just starts to glow, which is about 600 degrees. The biggest thing that I found in my research about bolts getting stuck in aluminum is when people go to heat it, they don't heat it enough. You have to heat the bolt not just to where it gets hot, but you have to heat it to where it starts to glow. I don't mean bright red. I mean where it just starts to emit light. So if you're heating it and heating it and heating it and you turn the light out and you can't see anything from the bolt, it's not got hot enough. It's the point where it starts to emit light that it is now hot enough that it is burned off all the rust on it. So this bolt can now be used. Of course, you want to run your nut through it and clean it and oil it again to make sure that it won't corrode anymore after that. Most of the bolts on my car are completely rusted out. And it's a problem because these are specialty bolts. So this washer right here will never come off this bolt because the bolt was threaded after the washer was put on. So it's threaded and then the washer won't come off. There's no way to get that washer out of there without destroying the threads or the washer. You're more likely to destroy the threads than the washer, but they want $5 a piece for these bolts. So they're a little ridiculous, actually. But here's the thing. I watched a lot of videos about how to remove stuck bolts. The vast majority of people say use PB Blaster. And I'm telling you, do not even bother with PB Blaster. Don't bother with any type of lubrication. I think acetone and transmission fluid is actually the best homemade oil creeper. It works better than any other stuff you can buy in a can, but the stuff in a can is convenient. So don't bother with the lubrication stuff. Yeah, well, that's weird. My camera stopped working. But anyway, don't bother with the lubrication stuff. What you want to do is you want to heat the steel to 600 degrees Fahrenheit. There's two ways you can do that. You can use a torch. If you have a torch and it's convenient at the location and it's not near any type of hoses or any type of rubber, like a lot of times you'll get a steel bolt and it's surrounded by some kind of shock rubber, and well, that's going to be a problem because if you try to heat the bolt, of course, it's going to burn the rubber if you have a torch on it. So what you do is you use a battery. You use a nice heavy-duty 12-volt battery. If you have an SUV, you've already got everything you need. But the thing here is, when you use this trick with the battery, you need good thick cables to do this, and you need to be quick about it. It is a bit dangerous. So you need to disconnect the terminals from your battery. because you don't want to fry your computer, right? That's the first thing you do, is to make sure that your battery is disconnected. Do not leave the ground on the battery. Disconnect both cables. Then run your jumper cable to where the bolt is in the engine. So like if this bolt is in, it's stuck and it's sticking out right here, you're going to put the positive on the top part of the bolt. Then you're going to take the back negative and you're going to touch it somewhere. You're going to try to touch it somewhere that's behind the bolt. That's the best place to put it, because the electricity will flow and it'll, wherever it makes contacts on the threads is where it's going to start to heat up. And you want to hold it there regardless of the sparks or what's going on until the bolt starts to glow. And then once the bolt is glowing, you take it off. And be very careful about touching the tips of your jumper cables together, because it's going to do the same thing there. It's going to weld them together and you're going to have a big fire. So take it off and then be safe about your jumper cables, disconnect them, and then get under there and wait until the bolt cools off a little bit. And you should be able to pull it out. It should have broken off all the rust, basically, is what it does. And you'll notice that instead of the bolt being rust colored, it's going to turn black. And you should be able to get it out, and without breaking it at all. So if I knew that trick, I would have done it. So from now on, that's the trick I'm going to use to get bolts out if they're stuck or if they won't move. I kept trying and trying on a bolt that was exactly the same one as this, and it literally broke it in half because the inside of it had corroded, rusted to the point where it was seized against the aluminum threads, and there was no way to get it out. It wasn't going to move. The bolt hole is not going to move. It's actually still stuck in the power steering unit, and so I just ordered a new one because there's no way. The whole power steering unit itself was just absolutely corroded, and every bolt that was in it was stuck in it. It just cheap components and bad chemical reaction. And the odd part is I don't live somewhere where there's salt on the roads, so there's no snow. It rarely, if ever, snows here, and when it does, they don't really ever put salt on the roads. So all the corrosion on my car, which is a Honda CR-V, is just from shoddy materials for some reason. But anyway, that's how you do it. You heat the bolt. So if you have any type of reservations about the bolt coming free, like you think you're going to break the bolt, before you try, if it looks like it's going to strip and you get this feeling, just heat the thing before you even attempt it, and it'll come out. It'll come out freely. That's my advice.